There is a moment, often quiet, often overlooked, when the fabric of your life begins to whisper. Perhaps it happens during the mundane, as you glance at a digital clock flashing 5:55. Or maybe it calls to you in dreams, in synchronicities, in strange repetitions too frequent to dismiss as chance. This number, 555, dances at the edge of your awareness like a flicker at the corner of your eye. You pause. Something stirs. A question arises. Not just what does it mean, but why now? Welcome to the beginning of something deeper. Stay with me until the end of this journey, because by the close of this reflection, you will not only understand the message encoded in 555, but you may also see your life, past, present, and future, through a lens you never knew existed. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the rest of this awakening process. Because what you're about to hear doesn't just belong to this moment. It belongs to your transformation. Angel numbers are not mere numerological curiosities. They are cosmic signposts, ethereal landmarks left behind like spiritual breadcrumbs by a force that transcends time, logic, and even belief. They are, in a sense, the fingerprints of the divine etched into the matrix of daily life. And 555, unlike any other, signals a storm. But not a storm of chaos or fear. Rather, it is the sacred storm of metamorphosis, where the caterpillar vanishes not because it dies, but because it is being rewritten. To understand the role of 555 is to step into a realm where time loses its linear grip and becomes more like a spiral staircase, where each twist and ascent brings you closer, not to a new destination, but to a clearer version of yourself. This number, tripled in its urgency, echoes like a bell through the chambers of your soul, urging you to release the comfortable illusions you've built around your identity, your routine, and your expectations. The number 5 in numerology is a symbol of change, freedom, unpredictability, movement. It carries the spirit of wind, unseen but deeply felt. It is the pulse of revolution, the flick of the flame, the nudge towards something just beyond your grasp. When you see it once, you might dismiss it. Twice, you pause. But when it appears in threes, 555, it is no longer suggestion. It is summons. And here's the twist. Most people fear change, not because it's hard, but because it threatens the story they've told themselves about who they are. The ego, like an aging monarch, clings desperately to its crown, even when the kingdom is burning. But angel number 555 is the divine rebel knocking at your mental palace gates, whispering, "Let go or be dragged." Yet the whisper is not cruel. It's merciful. It's the voice of your higher self, perhaps long ignored, reminding you that your discomfort isn't punishment. It's the pressure of a shell cracking, so the real being inside can finally emerge. So what does it mean to embrace this change? It doesn't mean reckless rebellion or blind leaps into the unknown. Embracing change means honoring the pulse of evolution inside you. It means recognizing that your current life, your job, your relationships, your fears, your goals, was a stepping stone, not a destination. It means learning to listen to the strange language of the universe, where numbers are letters and synchronicities are sentences. Think of life as a vast cosmic river. Most people build dams. They construct safe harbors along the shorelines and call it security. But the river never stops flowing. And the more you resist, the more turbulent it becomes. Angel number 555 is the river rising, not to drown you, but to remind you, you were meant to sail. The moment you see it, truly see it, you are already in motion. You've been called. And perhaps, deep down, you already knew it. This number appears when something sacred is beginning to unravel. Maybe it's a job that no longer fits your spirit. Maybe it's a relationship where you've been holding your breath, waiting to feel alive again. Maybe it's the sudden craving to move, to write, to start over, to burn down everything you've built because somehow it doesn't reflect you anymore. The appearance of 555 is not a warning. It's a permission slip. Permission to evolve, to trust, to leap before you feel ready. Because ready is an illusion sold to us by a society addicted to control. There is an ancient teaching that says every soul contracts certain awakenings before they are born. Moments when the veils will thin and the message will be clear. Wake up, the old is dying, let it. Angel number 555 is one of those coded moments, slipped into your timeline like a hidden frequency only your higher self can decode. If you're seeing it, it's not an accident, it's alignment. So as we begin this exploration, I invite you to see 555 not just as a number, but as a doorway. A shimmering crack in the reality you've known. On the other side is not just a new chapter, but a whole new book, a version of you that remembers how to dance with the unknown, how to shed what no longer fits, and how to trust that something divine is authoring your life with intention. This is not a journey for the faint-hearted. It is for the willing, for the ones who understand that destruction is often a form of creation in disguise. That surrender is not weakness, but the prelude to becoming something greater. You are not lost. You are simply being rerouted. If the introduction to angel number 555 was the shiver before the lightning strike, then what follows is the storm's anatomy, its temperature, its rhythm, its purpose. For beneath the surface of this number's mystical glow lies a lattice of themes that stretch from ancient numerological systems to modern spiritual awakenings. 555 is not a message you merely interpret. It is a code your soul remembers. And within that code are the essential currents that move you from static survival into dynamic becoming. Let us begin with the number itself. 5, repeated thrice. In the ancient Pythagorean system, 5 was the number of the human being: head, 2 arms, 2 legs. It was also the midpoint between the rigid order of 4 and the infinity of 6. In esoteric traditions, 5 is the gateway. It represents change not as chaos, but as necessary movement, an evolution born not from recklessness, but from the sacred rhythm of the universe itself. 5 is the wandering prophet. 5 is the bridge. And when it triples, when it chants itself across time as 555, it becomes the trumpet blast that shakes the old world awake. The first great theme of 555 is liberation through disruption. We are conditioned to see change as something to fear, something that strips us of safety. But angel number 555 whispers a deeper truth. The walls you thought were protecting you may actually be the prison. When you begin to see this number repeatedly, it means the false constructs of your life, identities, attachments, plans, are already being eroded, not as punishment, but because your soul has outgrown them. Think of a snake shedding its skin. To the untrained eye, it looks like loss, but to the snake, it is renewal. 555 is that sloughing away of illusion, and within that disruption lies the second theme, the rebirth of identity. The ego, well-meaning but deeply afraid, likes to catalog your life with labels. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I want. But when the vibration of 555 enters your life, it is often preceded or accompanied by a feeling of spiritual dizziness. You no longer recognize the person in the mirror. Old dreams taste like dust. Roles you once cherished feel like borrowed costumes. This is not a crisis. It is a cosmic invitation to remove the mask. Not to abandon yourself, but to uncover the version of you that's been hiding underneath all along. A third principle threads through the essence of 555. Alignment with divine timing. You are not late. You are not early. You are exactly where the current has placed you. The moment you start seeing 555 consistently, it means the invisible gears of the universe are already turning in your favor, even if on the outside, it looks like everything is falling apart. Imagine a tree whose roots are being shaken by the wind. It may tremble, but the shaking is what deepens the roots. 555 is the breath before the bloom, the final gust before the takeoff. The universe is reweaving your path to something more aligned with who you truly are becoming. And yet, perhaps the most paradoxical theme is this. You are not in control, and yet you are co-creating everything. This is the strange wisdom of 555. It teaches surrender not as passivity, but as a profound act of trust. When you see this number, it's not telling you to sit back. It's asking you to release the illusion that you must figure everything out. It calls you to move with courage, but without the need for total certainty. Like a bird flying through fog, 555 is the compass of the heart, not the roadmap of the mind. You do not need to see the whole sky to know you are flying. All of these themes revolve around a single axis: transformation as destiny, not as something you force, not as something you can schedule, but as something already coded into your spiritual DNA. Angel number 555 appears not to grant you permission, but to awaken your recognition. It's as if your soul had planted a beacon within your life, a flare set to go off when the time came for you to break through the chrysalis. And when that flare erupts, in clocks, receipts, license plates, dreams, it means you're already in flight. But with transformation comes friction. Do not be surprised if, after seeing 555 repeatedly, you find yourself facing decisions that stretch you. Old relationships may begin to dissolve. Jobs may feel intolerable. Deep fears may rise. This is not the universe being cruel. This is the detonation of inertia. The friction is your soul reminding you that comfort is not the same as peace. And peace does not come from stasis. It comes from movement in the direction of your truth. There is an invisible architecture to this world, an elegant geometry of growth, and 555 is a key encoded within it. It is the fingerprint of divine momentum. It doesn't just ask for your attention, it demands your participation. The real gift of this number is not clarity, it is courage. Clarity comes later. But courage must rise now, as you stand at the threshold of a story still being written. So let this number haunt you, in the best of ways. Let it unsettle your certainty. Let it irritate the parts of you that crave control. Let it open doors you didn't even know existed. Because when 555 enters your life, it isn't knocking. It's kicking down the door. Not to destroy what's inside, but to set it free. The soul does not speak in plain language. It does not present PowerPoints or deliver instructions through logical flowcharts. Instead, it speaks in symbols, dreams, myths, echoes. And when it truly wants your attention, it crafts a story around your life, a theater of signs where every number, every shadow, and every unexpected shift carries meaning deeper than language itself. Angel number 555 is not just a message. It is a myth unfolding in real time, a sacred parable, a mirror with breath on it. To truly feel the pulse of 555, you must surrender logic and step into the realm of allegory. Let me take you there now. Imagine a traveler walking through a desert, not the dry, lifeless kind, but the ancient symbolic desert. The space between what was and what will be. The traveler has no map. The sky above burns, the wind is fierce, and there are no signs on the horizon. And yet, at regular intervals, the traveler finds 3 smooth stones in the sand, arranged in a perfect triangle, each one engraved with the number 5. It seems absurd. Why here? Why now? But as the traveler continues, each triangle leads to another, guiding without guiding. The traveler begins to notice that these symbols appear precisely when despair is loudest, when thirst is deepest, when the old self wants to turn back. This is the myth of initiation, and 555 is the breadcrumb trail through the void. In many sacred traditions, initiation is not comfortable. It is destabilizing. It breaks you apart so you may remember your original wholeness. In tribal rites, it often involved isolation, disorientation, symbolic death. The initiate would be stripped of name, role, and past. And only after the death of the familiar could the sacred identity be revealed. The number 555, when it begins circling your life, is the moment before the name is taken. It is the mask slipping, the floor crumbling, the edge of the forest. It is not yet the destination, but the gate. Another story arises from the ancient East, where a monk once asked his master, "How do I achieve enlightenment?" The master responded, "Go home, pack your things, and walk into the unknown. When you hear the bells of change, do not resist them. Follow them, even if they sound like thunder." The disciple, trembling, asked, "But how will I know it's the right path?" The master smiled and said, "Because the ground will shake beneath your feet, and the number 555 will dance before your eyes." It's not that this story was literally about numbers, but the number is a symbol of the inner bell, the soul's alarm clock. When you begin to walk the path of change, real, spiritual change, you will feel it in your bones. Things will unravel, plans will dissolve. But like the disciple, you'll know it's the right path, not because it's easy, but because it wakes something inside you that's been sleeping far too long. There's also the tale of the phoenix. Yes, we've all heard the metaphor, the mythical bird that burns and rises again from its own ashes. But what is often forgotten is what happens before the flames. Before the blaze, the phoenix begins to molt. Its wings heavy, its feathers dull. It no longer fits in its sky. It perches, watching the world it once soared above, and something inside whispers, "This is not your sky anymore." That's when 555 begins to appear, the feathers falling, the inner knowing, the friction. You are not dying, you are catching fire. The burn is not your end, it is your beginning. These stories are not fantasies, they are encoded wisdoms passed through time like lanterns. And when 555 appears in your life, it is as if you are stepping into one of them. You become the traveler, the disciple, the phoenix. You are not reading the myth, you are living it. And your job is not to understand every twist. Your job is to walk it with your eyes open and your heart attuned to the deeper frequency underneath the chaos. 555 is also the archetypal threshold guardian, a figure known to appear in every hero's journey. Whether it's the Sphinx who challenges Oedipus or the storm that pushes Odysseus off course, there is always a force that tests the will of the hero at the edge of transformation. The angelic vibration of 555 plays this role in your life. It confronts your complacency. It asks, "Do you really want to grow? Are you truly ready to let go?" And it never appears when you are ready. It appears to make you ready. Finally, consider the mirror in a darkened room. You've seen yourself only in daylight, only in comfort. But in the dark, a new self begins to emerge. Not a false one, but a fuller one. 555 is the flicker in that mirror, the flash before the candle catches fire. It's the signal that what you thought was your shadow is actually your power, waiting to be remembered. To live with the number 555 pulsing through your awareness is to step out of ordinary time. You are now in mythic time, where signs are sacred and every moment has weight. This is the space where destiny is not a concept but a current, and your role is not to fight it, but to swim with awareness. You are not the passenger in this tale. You are the hero, the flame, the storyteller, and the story all at once. You were never meant to stay the same. You were meant to burn and rise. Symbolism can stir the soul, yes. But what happens the next morning when the coffee is lukewarm, the inbox overflowing, and the responsibilities of everyday life come knocking? It is here, in the mundane rhythms of existence, that the echo of 555 must be integrated, not as a fleeting spiritual high, but as a living truth. Because angel numbers are not just poetic touches from another realm, they are practical alignments dressed in mystery, and 555, above all, is a number that wants to move you. It doesn't ask for your admiration, it asks for your action. You've seen it on the clock, on receipts, on the back of buses and digital billboards. That's not coincidence, that's calibration. Something in your world is shifting, and while it's tempting to sit in contemplation, to wait for all signs to line up in perfect clarity, 555 pushes gently, but relentlessly, for motion. Even the smallest step taken in the direction of your soul's truth becomes a sacred act under this number's watchful gaze. But let's speak plainly now. What does this change actually look like? Perhaps it begins with restlessness. A job you once enjoyed now feels like a cage. The emails you send sound like someone else wrote them. The days blur together and a voice inside, small but persistent, says, "This isn't it anymore." That voice is not your enemy. It's your compass. 555 shows up when your inner world is misaligned with your external structures. It shows up when your spirit is ready for deeper expansion, even if your mind is still clinging to safety. You might begin to feel pulled towards something irrational. A new city, a different career, a course you've never dared to pursue. The old you might scoff, saying, "That doesn't make sense." But 555 doesn't operate within the logic of fear. It operates within the logic of becoming. The feeling of urgency that arises is not panic. It's the birthing pang of your next self. And sometimes change doesn't begin with a leap. It begins with clearing. Clearing a room, unsubscribing from a belief, saying no to what once defined you. Under the energy of 555, what you remove is just as sacred as what you invite. This number teaches that not all change is additive. Some change is subtractive. It teaches you the value of emptying your cup before you pour in the new. If you feel compelled to declutter, not just physically, but emotionally or energetically, it's not random. It's alignment. The space you clear becomes the soil for what's coming. Relationships often come into sharp focus when 555 arrives. You may find yourself questioning long-standing dynamics. Does this connection nourish your growth, or does it bind you to your past? Conversations may feel heavier. Distance may creep in. But don't rush to conclusions. Instead, listen. 555 asks for honest listening, not reactive decisions, but intuitive knowing. Sometimes the person you need to change isn't the other. It's who you are within that relationship. Or it's the courage to release the bond entirely, trusting that real love will always survive transformation, while illusion will dissolve. And what about fear? It will come. Of course it will. The fear of starting over. The fear of letting go. The fear of being wrong. But under the guidance of 555, fear is not the enemy. It's the resistance that tells you something sacred is near. Like a threshold you must cross barefoot, fear becomes the heat that forges conviction. You may not be able to silence the fear, but you can choose not to follow it. This number also demands presence. When you begin to align with it, life accelerates. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities arrive, sometimes disguised as endings. You'll feel tested, emotionally, financially, spiritually. But these are not punishments. They are initiations. Every detour is a teacher. Every closed door is a redirection. Trust this, not blindly, but bravely. You might start seeing yourself differently. Looking in the mirror and noticing your posture has changed, your voice steadier, your words more deliberate. This is not ego, it's embodiment. When you honor 555, You begin to live the change instead of simply thinking about it. You show up differently. You hold your boundaries with grace. You speak truth even when your voice shakes. And others, consciously or not, begin to respond. The world bends toward your authenticity, like plants seeking sunlight. And here's something often overlooked. 555 is not only personal, it is collective. When enough individuals awaken to their own truth, society itself begins to shift. You are not changing in isolation. You are a node in a greater awakening. Every action you take in alignment with your inner knowing sends a ripple into the larger field. That new project, that honest conversation, that decision to heal, to walk away, to start again, it affects more than just you. It shifts the frequency of the whole. This is not a call to spiritual bypassing. 555 does not promise ease. It does not guarantee that every choice will unfold in straight lines or golden light. Some days you'll doubt, some nights you'll grieve. But through it all, the number remains, glowing softly at the edge of your reality, saying, "Keep going. This is the way." So if you're wondering, what should I do with this message? Start small, but start truthfully. Say yes to what makes you feel expansive. Say no to what drains your spirit. Make one move today that honors your evolution, even if no one else understands it yet. The universe does. Because every time you see 555, it's not simply a reminder that change is coming. It's a whisper that change is already here. And your job is to meet it. Not with resistance, but with reverence. So here you are, at the edge of understanding, the final chapter in this quiet revolution of the soul. You've walked the spiral of the number 555 through its symbols, stories, meanings, and mirrors. But to truly honor its presence is not merely to comprehend it, it is to become it. Because angel numbers are not passive signs drifting through your life like curious butterflies. They are flames. And once touched by them, you are forever scorched by the truth they carry. Let us now bring it all into one breath, one realization. 555 has not entered your world to suggest a gentle breeze of change. It has come like a storm, a holy disturbance, a sacred wildfire. But not to destroy you, only to burn away what is false, what is finished, what no longer vibrates in resonance with your becoming. It does not ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be faithful. Not to a doctrine, not to a rigid plan, but to the deeper truth pulsing within your ribs, the one you hear in your quietest moments, when all else falls away. This is the transformational call, to step forward before the bridge appears, to leap while still unsure, to listen to the subtle yes beneath all your loud fears. Because 555 doesn't only represent change, it requires you to trust that what is emerging through you is not madness, but divine momentum. That your desire to evolve isn't an escape from life, but the soul's return to it. Picture it now, not metaphor, but real. You standing at a crossroads in your own existence. One path loops back into familiarity, the other disappears into the mist. You hear the echo. 555. You already know what it means. You know what needs to be said, what must be left behind, what dreams are clawing at the inside of your heart to be born. This is your moment to say yes. Not because you are fully ready, but because you are finally willing. And remember this, change is not always loud. It doesn't always arrive as job offers or relocations or dramatic departures. Sometimes, 555 whispers into your life as a shift in energy, a soft awakening. You answer a call you once ignored. You start listening instead of arguing. You forgive where you once needed apology. You choose peace over being right. You say no with love. You say yes with power. That is change. That is the divine storm inside you learning how to dance. Look around. Look within. What has 555 illuminated for you? What inner knowing has stirred? Where is your fire longing to be released? Maybe it's the book you've been postponing, the truth you've been silencing, the relationship you've been shrinking inside. Or maybe it's the version of you that you buried to keep others comfortable. Now is the time to bring it forward. Let the light in. Let the future you is calling toward rise. Transformation isn't a moment. It's a lifetime of moments realigned. It's 1,000 quiet choices that rewire the trajectory of your reality. You won't always see the shift happening, but you'll feel it. You'll know when something clicks, when something lifts. 555 is not just a sign. It is a new rhythm of living. A more honest, more luminous cadence. And though it may sometimes feel like you're walking blind, stumbling through uncertainty, you are never alone in this. Others are walking beside you, those who have also seen the number, who have also heard the bell. A global awakening is unfolding in fractals, in timelines, in hearts. You are not late to the path. You are the path. So this is your invitation. To say yes to the discomfort that leads to truth. To say yes to the unraveling that births clarity. To say yes to the life that is asking, not politely but passionately, to be lived through you. Because in the end, angel number 555 is not about decoding a message. It's about embodying a frequency, a living flame, a radiant yes in a world that teaches us to settle. So rise now. Move forward with intention. Burn what must be burned. Plant what must be planted. The future is already whispering your name. You are not waiting for change. You are the change.